Bienvenue, mes amis, and welcome to another adventure in French. And have I got an adventure for you today? It's time telling in French. And the French tell time a little bit differently than we do in the United States, so get ready for an experience, I promise. All right, let's start with simple time notation. In the good old U.S., if I wanted to say 6 o'clock in the morning, I would note that by saying 6, colon, 00, and then to make sure you knew it was a.m. as opposed to 6 o'clock p.m., a.m., and that means 6 in the morning. All right, now let's look at how the French do it. All right, they would do the 6 all right, but now notice what happens. H-O-O. All right, and that's how they express 6 o'clock in the morning. Now you say, boy, that's different. What does that H mean? Well, the H stands for the French word heure. Actually, it's plural. Heure, and that is how the French say hour. So what they're saying here is 6 hours and 0 minutes, or 6 o'clock in the morning. Notice, no a.m., because the French do not use a.m. or p.m. And there's a very good reason for that. It is because they do not note time in 12-hour like we do. What I mean by that is we start out at 12 o'clock midnight and we go all the way to 12 o'clock noon. And then what do we do in the United States? Well, after 12 o'clock noon comes, that's right, we start repeating the numbers over again, comes 1 o'clock p.m. Well, the French don't do the repeating like that. They use a 24-hour clock. So that the hour after 12 noon, we don't start repeating again. We just keep going on with 13H00. Okay? So I don't have to put AM or PM. The number tells you what hour I'm talking about. 6 o'clock in the morning is 6 hours after midnight. So I know it has to be 6 in the morning. All right? If I wanted to say 6 in the evening, I would do 18HOO, because the 18 would mean 18 hours after midnight. And that's 6 o'clock in the evening. So it's the difference between using a 24-hour clock and using a 12-hour clock to tell your time. Okay, so now we've got through the time notation. All right, we see how they do it differently. We've learned that in the United States, we like to use a 12-hour time notation where we use AM and PM. The French prefer to use the 24-hour clock, okay, where the hours just keep going on after noon. And now let's get into how we actually say the time, okay? So, let me get back to my 6 o'clock in the morning, okay? I would note it like this, and here's how I would express that. 6 heures, 6 hours. All right? 6 heures, 6 o'clock. And if I wanted to say it is 6 o'clock, il est 6 heures. Il est 6 heures. It is 6 hours or 6 o'clock. All right? And again, note 6H00. All right? Well, what if I wanted to say it was, 10 after 6? 6:10. All right? In French, I would note that as 6H, and then you've got it. I'd put a 10 after it. All right? So this is 6:10. All right? The French would express that as il est, right? You put your 6 heures. All right? And then you simply put the minutes, the number of minutes. And this would be 10. Il est 6h10. And that's how you would say 6:10. Now, you could add any minute after that. If you wanted to say it was 6:11, you would say il est 6h11. If you wanted to say it was 6:21, you would say il est 6h21. If you wanted to say it was 6:43, you would say il est 6h43. You just simply add the number of minutes after the word heure. And that's it. Okay, so far, so good, right? All right. But there are some special time telling expressions, and let me share those with you. All right. When you have 15 after, all right, say we're saying 6:15. All right, we'd write that 6H15. Now, in English, we can sometimes say, or some people sometimes say, it's a quarter past 6, meaning 6:15. Well, the French have an expression they use with the quarter hours. And if you want to say a quarter past 6, in French you would say, il est 6 heures. All right? And then instead of saying quarter past, you would say simply, il est 6 heures et quart. Now you notice the word quart, Q-U-A-R-T, that kind of looks like quarter, right? We're just missing the ER. So you can see where that, quarter past. All it's saying is it is 6 o'clock and a quarter. Il est 6 heures et quart. All right? Now I could just as easily say il est 6 heures. Well, here, let me write it down here. Il est 6h15. And that means the same thing. 6:15, or if I want to say quarter past, il est 6 heures et quart. All right? Let's look at another one. Say now I want to say 6:30. All right? 6h30. 6h30. I could say that, or sometimes in English we like to say 6:30. It's 6:30. All right? There's a way to say that in French. Il est 6 heures. All right? Et demi. All right? Demi means half. So what you're saying here is it is 6 hours and a half, or a half an hour. Il est 6 heures et demie. I could just as easily say il est 6h30. They mean the same thing. So I can say 6:30 or 6:30. Il est 6 heures et demie. Il est 6h30. All right? Now, what if I wanted to say 6:45? All right? Now, in English, we might use the expression, it's a quarter till 7. All right? Telling people that we've got a quarter hour until 7 o'clock. It's a quarter until 7. A quarter till 7. Okay? In French, they would say, il est, now watch this. Oops. Having trouble typing. Look, il est 7 heures. Remember, in English we say it's a quarter till 7. We don't mention the word 6. Well, the French do the same thing. Il est 7 heures. Now watch what they do. Moins le quart. Moins means less. So what they're saying here is it is 7 o'clock less the quarter, or less the quarter hour. Okay, or think of it as minus. You can also think of moins as minus. It is 7 o'clock minus the quarter hour, or it's a quarter until 7. Il est 7 heures moins le quart. Okay? Now, you can also use this expression. I could also say, il est 7 heures moins, and instead of saying le quart, I could say 15. Il est 7 heures moins 15. All right? It's 7 o'clock minus 15 minutes. Except I don't have to put the word minutes. Il est 7 heures moins 15. Okay, so you can do anything with this moins. You can put any number in you like. If I wanted to say, it's, say I want to say it's 20 minutes till 7. All right? That would be 6:40, and it would simply be il est 7h moins 20. It's 7 o'clock minus 20 minutes. Il est 7h moins 20. Okay? Getting back to our 6:45, I could say il est 7h moins le quart. Or I could say, if I wanted to stick with the 6 o'clock time, il est 6h45. It's 6 hours 45 minutes. Il est 6h45. Okay? So again, there are two ways to express this. Okay. I can either say moins, or I can say just the number of minutes, which is the easiest thing to do. And you might prefer to do that when you're telling time. It's just if someone's speaking to you, they may not choose the same kind of preference you have, so you've got to be able to listen for all kinds of time telling. All right, then. Now, the French are aware that there are some people who like to use 12-hour time, especially the visitors and the tourists, and so they do have a way of expressing 12-hour time, and here's what they would do. Okay? If they wanted to say it was 6 o'clock in the morning, all right? Well, no, let's make it this way. Let's say 18 heures. Okay, 18 heures. Okay, that's 18 hours past midnight, which would be 6 o'clock in the evening. All right? The French could simply say this. They could say il est 18 heures. Okay? Or they might just say il est 6 heures du soir. Il est 6 heures du soir. And what this is saying is, it is 6 o'clock of the evening, or 6 o'clock in the evening. Il est 6 heures du soir. So although they don't note time in 12-hour time, they can verbally express that by using expressions like du soir. Il est 6 heures du soir. It is 6 o'clock in the evening. Now they would still note it as 18H00. That wouldn't change. But when they're speaking to you of time, they might just say, oh, come at 6 o'clock in the evening. Il est 6 heures du soir. Okay? There's another expression. Du matin. Il est 6 heures du matin. It is 6 o'clock of the morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning. And of course, they would note that as 6H00. Il est 6 heures du matin. All right? And then if you want to say, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Well, they wouldn't use that, because that would be 2 o'clock in the morning. They would express it as 14H00, because that's 14 hours past midnight, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And they would simply say, il est 2 heures de l'après-midi. It is 2 o'clock of the afternoon, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Il est 2 heures de l'après-midi. All right? Just a few final notes. The word midi equals noon, and the word minuit equals midnight. And I can see my time is fast approaching to say goodbye. That's time telling in French. I hope you've enjoyed this adventure as much as I have. I'll see you again for another exciting adventure in French. Au revoir, mes amis.